You're listening to Shark Bone. This is episode 6, being recorded Monday, April 19th, 2010. My name is Devin.
I'm Jarvis.
And I'm Leslie.
And we have Leslie with us today. Say hi, Leslie.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Devin, I noticed you say Leslie.
Did I say Leslie?
Yeah, I say Leslie.
Oh, well.
Weird.
Does it matter?
No, of course not.
Well, I think it's from my Spanish-speaking roots. S
maybe.
sounds make an S.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's good. I saw an initiative. There was an initiative online where people are actually seriously considering unifying American English and British English, which would include dropping Z from the vocabulary everywhere. Anything that makes a Z sound would be produced by the letter X, and anything that makes like words like realize and things like that would actually be written with an S as they are in British English.
That's weird.
Weird, right?
Yeah.
All right.
It makes enough sense.
Back to RPGs.
Yeah. We wandered there.
Food for thought.
We won't do that again. Wait, yeah, we will. I'm not going to lie. For GM Garden, we are talking about the movie The Saint from 1997. Director was Philip Noyce. I think that's how you say it.
Sure.
With Val Kilmer and Elizabeth Shue, because she has an S in her name instead of a Z.
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth Shue.
Elizabeth Shue. Yeah, The Saint. It's a good flick.
It is. It's a very good flick.
Mm-hmm.
It's another one of my favorites.
One of Leslie's favorites as well, she was saying earlier today.
Yeah, I really love the female character. Most of my any type of scientist or research specialist character is based very much on hers from the movie. Very similar.
Because you just dig her as a research character?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the innocent, very smart girl type.
Well, since we're going to be talking about The Saint and themes and elements from it that you can put in your game, we might as well start there. So what is it about that research or scientist character that actually appeals to you?
The fact that she's so naive is a pretty fun character to play sometimes.
Okay, so that's weird that a brilliant scientist character is naive. So do you mean that she's like clueless about the rest of the world?
Socially naive, I
okay.
guess.
And you like playing characters that are socially naive? Or do you just draw from that?
Yeah, I draw from it, I guess. Just in that I can play something different. I don't have to play the guy with the sword that's running around killing everything.
Okay.
I can play the other end of that.
All right.
Sure. When I play smart characters, I usually default to like the wacky scientist guy. Or Giles from Buffy is a fallback of mine a lot. So the very bookish, like the person who knows a lot of stuff but just hasn't been out and encountered it.
He's very socially awkward too, so that's about the same.
Yeah,
the same level.
yeah. I guess Giles would be the same character. That's who Wes in our Hunter game was modeled after before terrible, terrible things happened to Wes, and he became a serial killer. Actually,
Wes was awesome.
Okay. So The Saint, you probably have some ideas, probably some things even jotted down, Devin.
I do.
What do we got?
I do. The very first thing that I thought was really cool and it made me laugh was at the very beginning of the movie, he's breaking into this Russian stronghold or whatever. I don't know what it's called, but he's breaking into it. He climbs up the side of the building. He gets to the window, walks up to it, and just kind of pushes on it, and it opens. He's like, huh. I love this country, because he's breaking into the building, but he doesn't have to break anything, because it's open.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's cool. How come every door has to be locked in a dungeon?
That's a good point.
How come when you're trying to break into a building, the employee just didn't forget to lock it?
That's a very good point.
You know? And that was just a thought. It doesn't have to be a topic of conversation.
It can be, though, because things like that add some realism to the world and the setting. Because sometimes when the hero's running away and he jumps into a car, he wants the keys to be up there in the visor.
Yeah.
because he needs them to be.
Yeah.
But they don't always have to be. At the same time, the keys could be dropped next to the car. Maybe the car's unlocked. So, I mean, but the same thing goes for a house.
The keys could even be in the trunk. I've done that on a couple of occasions.
Locked your keys in your trunk? That's true. And something like that would actually add a lot of interesting depth to the world. It would be funny to, if you're running a game, it would be funny when the player character gets out of the car, say, roll the die. And if he rolls a die and it comes up a 1, then you know that he locked his keys in the car. That would be pretty funny. Or you could even make it like, you could base it on his intelligence stat or something.
That would
be like, roll a die, and if it's under your intelligence or however it works in the game you're playing, then you've locked your keys in your car. And that's something that, especially if you know that a fight's coming up and that car might be necessary for a getaway, that stuff happens, man. It happens all the time.
Yes, it does.
That would be interesting. But I like the idea that sometimes the stronghold that you're breaking into, the security guard is smoking, or he's out to lunch.
Went to take a leak or something. He's just
he
not where he's supposed to be.
Yeah, he's reading a book, trying to get away with it, because stuff like that adds depth and realism, especially when a lot of people run games and you're trying to do like a dungeon quest, or you're trying to break into a bank or whatever, and they conceive of every possible obstacle between here and where you're going and make everything a challenge, make you roll for every little thing. Make a roll to see if you can climb the rope to get to the roof of the bank.
It doesn't make it cool.
Now make a roll to see if you can disable security on the window. Now make a roll to see if you can open the window. Now make a roll to see, and they just go on and on and on from there. And the point of the story is to get to the freaking bank so that you can get away with the money, or so you can find that the money's already been taken. So don't waste time with the little stuff, man. Like, if that's not what's important to the story, then say the window's already open.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or just say your character opens it. You're done. Move on.
It may give your characters pause as well. They'll be like, wait a minute, this is too easy.
That's true, too.
So then they could create more problems for themselves, looking for problems that aren't there.
That's true, too.
That would actually be more fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
And if
I thought of it.
if we get to, if you have a bank robber character and you get to the door to the bank and I say, it's unlocked, because I don't want you to take time to make a lockpick check and all that business. And if I just say it's unlocked and you as a player think out loud, man, I wonder why it's unlocked. Maybe somebody got here before us. Then myself as a GM is all of a sudden, maybe somebody did get there before you. Maybe somebody should be there.
Yeah.
And now my story just got interesting because of the idea that you just created.
Yep. Which is a good segue into our next topic. But we're not going there yet.
Okay. The suspense builds.
Dun, 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 dun. My next point that I thought was the best part of the movie that I would like to pull into another game was the setting. It's a spy movie. There are lots of spy movies. You can tell spy stories in any setting, and I'm sure spy stories have been told in every single setting. But I really like this one because I've never run or never played a game in a time of political unrest.
Okay.
So there's all these people in Russia are crying because there's a heating oil shortage. They're going without, food and heat, and they're suffering. The government can't do anything about it. And then there's this big political figure who is the bad guy, and he's like, I can solve all the problems. Just give me the power to do so. And that's kind of the backdrop to the story.
Yeah, he's the one that pays all the money for the cold fusion secrets, and so that he can help his country, but at the same time also then set himself up as the savior of his people.
Exactly.
For all the political power and money and everything that will come from there.
Yeah.
Okay. And
that political unrest, I think, is a great backdrop for a story because it can introduce some really cool problems, like when Val Kilmer and the girl Elizabeth are hiding in that rundown, abandoned tenement building, and they're hiding in that back room. And then the bad guys are walking through looking for them. And they're like, we're going to give you guys however much money it was to give us information. And most people are like, no, we don't like you guys. You guys represent something that we don't like. But there's always going to be a taker. There's always going to be someone that's like, you know what? I could really use that money right now.
Okay. So
it introduced the problem.
When the people of the country are kind of turned against you?
They're not really turned against him so much as suffering so much.
Or they're just desperate?
Yeah, they're desperate. They're going to
Okay.
take any opportunity they can get.
Okay.
I mean, they might have given you the clothes off their back because they really like what you're doing. But then some bad guy comes in and says, I'll give you $500 if you tell me where this guy is. And they're like, I just gave him the shirt off my back that cost me $5. And they're going to give me $500. Sure. Why not?
Sure. How do you bring that into a game? How does that make a game better?
You'd have to create a setting that does
All right.
that. And then also make all of the background and supporting NPCs, make them more volatile than NPCs normally are.
So instead of just window dressing, they're actually like potential conflicts
Yeah.
and things like waiting to happen.
Yes.
All right, so let's say it's happening in a D&D story. So you have your typical high medieval fantasy, and you have like a kingdom. So if there's some kind of political unrest, like where's that coming from?
It could be the king has an iron grip. Maybe he's aging, and he's putting all these laws in place to try and give an image of strength, and everyone's suffering underneath it.
Okay.
And then some knight, who's a young knight, stands up and says this isn't right, and he starts going up and rallying support from all the people. But then the king declares that knight a heretic or maybe a traitor,
Sure.
and demands his head. So everyone's looking for the knight, but the knight's still running around trying to garner support and everything.
So should
it's
that-
kind of like a Robin Hood story, actually?
Yeah, should that knight be the PC? Be the player character?
No.
That should be an NPC.
Yes, it should be an NPC because it was really cool. I thought that all of that was kind of a backdrop for what was actually
Sure,
happening.
the movie wasn't about the revolution. The movie was about
Exactly.
break-ins and stealing stuff.
Yes.
And it just happened during a revolution.
Yes.
Okay. So if this revolution to be is happening, what kind of interesting like stories or scenarios would come out of that? For like, say I'm just trying to adventure in the town. I'm trying to hunt down the Thieves Guild. I'm trying to clear out the orcs. Then how does the fact that this country is at a boiling point, how does that affect me?
Random people could be more suspicious of you
Okay.
because maybe the last people that came through the town were recruiting. So they look at you and they're like, I bet these guys are doing the same thing. We don't want to have anything to do with you in case you're associated with this traitor.
They could be needier, too. They could just see you coming through and say, I really need a jacket, and you have a jacket.
That could be, too.
I think I can
So you
do
get
that.
mugged by random people?
Yeah.
That's true. I think it would be interesting if, like in a lot of stories, the threat often comes from without. So it's about our kingdom being attacked by orcs. It's about our kingdom being plagued by a dragon.
Right.
Our kingdom is being sieged by an undead army led by the necromancer or whatever. So I think it would be interesting if instead of having that conflict come from outside the kingdom, if that conflict is coming from inside the kingdom, and now like you're wandering heroes or whatever, and
Right.
your country is taking sides against itself.
Yeah.
Which side do you go on, and what do you do about it? And that would be interesting because that's a whole like kind of new area of conflict that a lot of games don't necessarily get into.
Yeah. It could be like Johnny Appleseed.
How could it be like Johnny Appleseed? Where are you going with that, man?
Well, Johnny, this isn't popular media, so I mean, it's not something it's classic.
Uh-huh.
But Johnny Appleseed is a story about the kid coming into manhood during, what was it, the Revolutionary War? Or was it the Civil War? I don't remember.
I don't know, man.
I don't know.
Okay.
It was an idea that popped in my head, and I had to give it voice.
Sure. Johnny Appleseed was a guy that walked around planting apple trees. Right? Seeds?
Right, he was laying seeds, I think.
I know he laid seeds. I don't know why or what else was going on, but I think that's where the name came from.
I thought it was another.
Did you think he was just like a Civil War hero?
No, I was thinking of another book I read ages ago in junior high, where the guy's name was Johnny, and I think his name was Appleseed, but I could be wrong.
I don't know. Maybe.
Right. We'll leave that to look up later.
Weird. That's your homework, kids. Feel free to write in and complain about how we don't know anything about Johnny Appleseed.
Yes, please do.
We know everything about movies, not so much about literature.
No.
Good point.
Or American folklore.
Yeah.
Very little. All right. Here's something that stuck out in my head when I watched The Saint this afternoon. I thought the idea, because this Russian guy who wants to lead the revolution of his people and get them cold fusion technology so that they have free energy, not only to heat the country, but also then so that Russia will become a superpower.
Right.
He pays Val Kilmer, who plays the Saint, the super spy. He pays the super spy lots and lots of money, $8 million, I believe, to steal this scientific secret from the lead scientist who's working on it. So Val Kilmer goes and steals this stuff, and he gets the secrets and secret notes and the plans and all that stuff, and he gives it to the Russian guy. But then he finds out that the Russian guy basically wants to use it to kind of hold sway over all of his people.
Right.
And that the Russian guy uses it, or he kind of wants it to set himself up as a dictator almost.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the scientist who made it just wants to give free energy to the world.
Right.
So Val Kilmer says, I'll do this job. It's $8 million. I don't really care what the job is. Who cares? I'm going to do it because it's $8 million.
Right.
So he does it, and then he starts thinking about it. And then he realizes what's going on, and then he sees all the players, and he starts thinking, maybe I shouldn't have done that job. So then he basically has to undo the job. And that comes up. That's a staple that comes up in a lot of movies, where it happens in one episode of Firefly. They steal a bunch of medicine from a train, and then realize, they just steal crates from a train. Mm-hmm. And then once they've stolen it, they realize that it's medicine, and then they learn how bad off the situation is in town, and that whole town is dying because they're not getting their medicine. So they realize that with this stolen medicine that they're going to get a lot of money for, that whole town is going to die. So now they have to find a way to get that medicine back into town. They have to unsteal it without the town knowing that they stole it in the first place, because they might get arrested. So
I didn't think about that. That would be really cool to do.
Yeah, so I mean, it's concept, like if you think about movies, it happens a lot and stuff like Bourne Identity and all this stuff. But there's a classic trope. It happens in Replacement Killers, where the assassin character gets a target, and he says, "Okay, I'm going to go kill that guy." But then once he gets there, that guy is like a single father, and he has 3 kids, and then the assassin just can't bring himself to assassinate his target. Mm-hmm. And now the organization that the assassin is working for is hunting down the guy that failed at his job.
Right.
So that happens all the time. But I actually like the idea that you've done this job, you've stolen this thing or whatever, but now once you get all the information, you realize you have to put it back. 'Cause that's kind of cool. Like, almost like you could do an Indiana Jones scenario where you take the ancient artifact of the whatever that's worth so much money, but now that artifact is missing, like the evil god is going to arise and destroy the world, so now you have to take that thing and go back into the dungeon and put it back on the pedestal where it belongs.
Right. That would be fun.
And it would be a neat scenario because you can pull it into a lot of games.
Yeah, you could.
They even did that in Dead Snow. That was the whole point of that movie. Was they had to get all of the treasure back into the box.
True.
To keep that main bad guy happy.
Yes. Pirates of the Caribbean.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah. Cursed gold. They steal the gold, and then it curses them to undeath, and now they have to recollect all the gold that they've spent over hundreds of years, or however long it took. I guess it wasn't hundreds, but several years. And they have to go find every one of those gold pieces so that they can put it back in the chest and get their mortality back.
Yeah.
I think it would be really neat because to put it into any kind of situation, if you're a, D&D adventuring party, or if you're a modern day spy group, whatever it is, you do a job and then learn that the job would have been better if you didn't do it. So now you have to try and fix it.
Or maybe you don't have to try and fix it, depending on what motivates your characters.
True. Yeah, maybe you just have an interesting moral decision
Yeah.
of, do we just keep the money or...
Maybe
That'd
we
be
give the people the money instead of trying to steal whatever that was back and give it back to them. Just say, we can't get that back for you, but here's all the money we got for it.
Yeah. But I was thinking about it, and there's a lot of times where, we hear that this village is being attacked by bandits, so go up there and put a stop to it. So you get there, and then once you learn all the information, you realize that the people living in town are like settlers that have come and pushed the people that built the village out. So now those people that are pushed out have become bandits, like Robin Hood style.
Right.
And they're just trying to take their own town back. So there's a lot of times where what you think is the mission turns out to be different than what the mission actually is. But watching The Saint, I had this idea of you doing the mission, but then having to undo it. Because that doesn't happen a lot in games.
Yeah.
Especially, like, I'm thinking of the potential with the dungeon crawl, and that seems really fun.
What if it
in my
was
head.
even like in World of Darkness, where you go and maybe you're a hunter and you're working for the Chiron group, and they want a powerful vampire. So you go and you capture the prince, and you take him back to the company, and the company locks him up. And then all of a sudden, all the supernatural stuff in the city just starts going bonkers.
Because the vampire
Because
prince
the
was keeping
vampire
it in
prince
check.
was keeping everything in check, and now that balance is gone. And so there's like wars all around. What do? Do you go out and you kill all the monsters? Do you decide to try and capture or steal the vampire back and put him back on his throne? What do you do?
Because see, here's what I think makes that story so interesting, is that in that situation, have the parent company that you work for, have them not care that the supernatural stuff in that city has gone crazy.
Definitely.
But you care because your friends live in that city.
Because you live in that city.
And you live in that city. And that city is being hurt. And the group that sent you out says, oh, no, that was an ancient vampire. He's fled from our organization for hundreds of years. We need him locked up. But then the city's going crazy, and you realize he was actually doing more good than bad. So now you have to sneak into your own headquarters to break him out and put him back in control of the city where he was.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And you have to, like, help him get rid of the new supernatural creatures that have moved into the city. That's a good time.
Yep.
That'd be a good way to split the party. And your story would progress either way.
Yeah, it would.
Whether you're putting him back and making enemies with the people who you were going to lock him up for in the first place, or whether now you have to pay the consequences because...
Now you're dealing with this bigger problem.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Then you alienate yourself from your employers.
That's true.
Exactly.
And then you could be running on your own, or you could seek new employment,
Yeah.
or...
Maybe the prince offers you a job, or maybe he still hates your guts for taking him out of power in the first place.
That's true.
So you got guns surrounding you on all sides.
That's true. Sounds
Very
like
cool.
a good campaign.
Yeah, it does. I think we should do it.
Do you have anything else in your notes, sir? About the Saint?
Yes, I have one note.
Okay.
The Saint has a goal. He's shooting for $50 million, and then he's out of the game. He's going to retire.
They always are, man. One more job.
Yeah.
That's even what
One
they said
last
about
job.
him in the movie.
Yeah. They're like,
Like,
yeah,
always
I've
say
heard
that.
that before. But I think that's really cool, and I think that most characters, well, not most, but in some cases, I think it would make the game better if the characters set a goal. You know, this is what he's working towards. This is what colors every single one of his decisions. Because then you've always got a hook. You don't have to grasp at straws trying to figure out what's going to motivate those characters to do something. You can put something out there, and they'll just kind of look at it, and they'll like, nah, and then you put just a little twist on it so that it looks like it's going to help them with their goal. Boom. They'll take it.
I completely agree with you. We talked in one of our earlier episodes about fates and destinies.
Yes.
Like Dark Fates and Destinies. That might have been our first episode, if I remember right. And Hellas does it very well, where it says you have a dark fate that might happen to your character if everything goes terrible. He'll be killed by a lover in his sleep, or he will die at the hands of some nameless beast. But you also have this destiny that you aspire to, and if everything goes right, this is the great deed you will accomplish. You will become emperor of the universe.
Right.
Or you will slay the unkillable beast.
Mm-hmm.
But having that destiny was constantly something that a character could strive towards. Like, you knew where you were headed. You chose that destiny, and I was playing like a hunter-tracker kind of character. And my destiny was that I was going to kill the Kraken. It's a sci-fi game. So there's a giant space Kraken that I was going to... I was going to kill the Kraken and build a ship out of its corpse. That's what I was going to do. I was going to build a ship out of its corpse because the Kraken is the only thing that could survive in the depths of space.
Okay.
So I was going to build a ship out of its corpse that could actually go beyond anywhere anybody had traveled. So that was my goal. So every time...
Indie Star Trek.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
Yeah, it was a good time. But the storyteller, they had a really good hook. If they said, the Kraken's been spotted over here, there goes my character. He's off and running because he's going to kill that thing. He thinks he is. He didn't get the chance, but he really wanted to.
I think destiny and goal could be different.
Because absolutely.
Destiny could be something that, it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. But your character may not be actively looking for it. Like, in the case of killing the Kraken, he might look at himself and be like, I don't think I can take the Kraken right now.
Exactly. So I was trying to gain power until I thought I could take the Kraken.
Yeah. So even if you do have a destiny, you might want to have the characters set a smaller goal that they can work towards. Something that's important to them personally. Instead of being a huge, great accomplishment, it might be like, find the perfect diamond for my wife.
Yeah, it feels more immediate. A goal feels more immediate and more tangible.
There's another thing I wanted to bring up was Mouse Guard, because they actually have you create a goal, I believe, for every mission. So basically every adventure, you obviously have the goal of, our team of mice is going to deliver this food to this village that's struggling before the blizzard comes so that they can survive it. That's our obvious team mission. But on this mission, I have a goal, and you write it down. It's whatever you want. You get rewards for accomplishing it, and I think you get a bonus to your dice if what you're doing is in accordance with the goal, things like that. But so the goals of the example characters in the Mouse Guard book, one of the goals is that he's the newest character on the team. So he is going to convince the leader of the team that he is a worthy member.
Okay.
So he's basically going to say, by the end of this mission, that guy's not going to see me as a noob anymore.
That's a good goal.
Yeah. And another one is that, by the end of this mission, that newbie is going to learn some respect for his elders.
Okay.
So you can do whatever goals, and they can be inter-party goals. They could be actual mission goals. Like I'm going to attain the 8th circle of the sword or whatever in my secret ninjutsu sword skill that I've been training on since I was a child or something. That can be your goal for during this mission, during this adventure, this 3-month period of my character's life cycle.
Right.
This is what he's going to accomplish. I absolutely think you should do that in every game.
I think it definitely adds something.
It adds a lot.
Yeah.
It adds focus.
Yes.
It does add focus.
Very well put.
And it always gives you something to do when the GM says, okay, so, your guys are camping out for an evening and you're having dinner. What do you talk about? And you know what your character is aspiring to. You know what his ambition is. You know what he's trying to do. So you say, my ninja character goes off to practice the 7th circle of his sword skill because he's trying to attain the 8th. Whereas the guard mouse in Mouse Guard goes up to the old veteran and he says, what can I do to prove that I'm a valuable member of this team? Or remember when I fought that snake? Wasn't that good enough? Damn it. And all of a sudden, you know what your character's doing because you know what his goal is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move into our next topic. For Grease Monkey, we're talking about player input into narration and setting. I like player input a lot.
As do I.
I think it makes the game much more collaborative and a lot more fun. I think the best example that I know is Project Vanguard,
Okay.
which is kind of in playtest.
Yeah, it's
now.
it's in a alpha playtest. It's a free version that's online. We'll link to it.
Yeah, but at the beginning of the game, when you sit down, the players actually create... Have we talked about this before? I don't remember.
I don't think so.
The players sit down and they will create either a world, because it's a sci-fi game where you are a crew of a spaceship and you're part of a secret organization that is fighting to keep humanity alive and to discover secrets of the past. So, when you sit down as a group, each person will create either a faction or a planet. And so all of these player-created factions and planets, they'll come up in the game, which is really cool. So the GM can have an idea of where the story is going to go, but then a player hands him a planet, and the GM's like, this planet's perfect. If I tweak my idea like this, or this faction, this is awesome. You know, just like, I'm going to take my plans and put it in that faction.
If you have a table of 5 players, then you'll have like 3 worlds and 2 factions, or you'll have 3 factions and 2 worlds, or something. Or maybe 4 factions, 1 world. You get the idea. According to the rules of Project Vanguard, the game master has to include 2 factions and 1 world in every adventure. So on this planet, this faction is there trying to do this, and this other group is there trying to do that. Maybe the goals coincide, maybe they compete.
Oh.
And according to the rules, one of those factions or that world has to be something that the player created. So if the players create, 4 factions, you have to include one of those factions. Or it can be 2 of your own creations, but it has to be on a player-created world.
Right.
So it's actually written into the rules that every single adventure, there is something going on that the players have a stake in. Because the player says, I made that world. Or I created those mercenaries.
And that's good.
It's very good.
I like that idea because it forces the GM to be a little bit more flexible. They don't sit down to the table and railroad you through a story that you don't feel like you signed up for halfway through the game.
Yep.
It's pretty hard to railroad when other people are telling you how things work.
That's true.
Exactly.
So it's very good from that aspect. As a GM, I like it a lot because if Leslie creates a really cool ice world, like Hoth from Star Wars or something, and she says, these are all the wicked creatures that are there, and these are the ancient ruins that are there, and there's all this stuff going on, and then Devin creates a pirate organization or whatever else, then I know that no matter what I want to do with my story, if I make it take place on that ice world that Leslie created, she's into the game.
Yeah.
Because she made that ice world because that was interesting to her. She liked the way that sounded. So when I run the game, if it takes place on that ice world, I know that she's invested.
Yeah.
Because she's like, oh, this is my world. I can't wait until we see those, razor-backed dolphins that I created. Whatever. That's scary, man. I don't want to see a razor-backed dolphin.
Yeah, I kind of do.
You kinda do?
I'd give those sharks a run for their money.
Yeah, maybe. So there's a couple other games that do it. There's a lot of games that do player narration and player input. One of the basics is the idea came from Primetime Adventures, where at the end of the game, you go around the table and every player gives a short scene, and they say, because Primetime Adventures plays out a television show, so you say, we're doing the X-Files. So we go to Leslie's character, and she says, next time on the X-Files. And she gives a small scene of what Mulder's going to be up to. And then we go to Devin, and he says, next time on the X-Files, and you give a small scene about what Scully's going to be up to. And you might say, Scully looks up to the gunman that she can't make out in the darkness, and she says, so they finally caught up to me. And then you take that little nugget and you hand it to the GM, and then he has a week or a month, depending on how long between your games, to figure out how to work that into a story. And it's not mandatory, but he will go out of his way to try and make that scene show up. So if you've been, say you're playing The Princess Bride as a TV show, Inigo Montoya has been tracking the six-fingered man for games and games and games. The player is getting tired of not finding the six-fingered man. So we get to the end of an episode, and I look at the players, and I say, tell me what happens on the next episode of The Princess Bride. And Leslie says, there's Inigo Montoya. And he says, the six-fingered man. It is about time. And then I, as the GM, go, okay, she's obviously tired of looking for him. She wants to find that dude. So he comes up next episode. There he is. So that's a really, really handy trick that you can actually put in any game you're running.
You can. It doesn't require any mechanics.
Yeah, no mechanics at all, and it's an easy way to say, hey guys, what do you want to see next week?
And it's really fun because a lot of the characters when I played Primetime Adventures would actually build off of the story that the prior person told, and so they would all end up actually tying in together. It would give the GM some ideas too, so it wouldn't always be like 6 or 7 different ideas that didn't even correspond to each other. Players will usually themselves find some way to tie their idea into something that's already been said, and it gets pretty fun.
I think that's cool because that'll build more unity between the characters as well. Give them another reason to stay together.
Oh, absolutely.
And work together as a team.
Absolutely. Another game that handles the same topic but kind of inverts it is Danger Patrol, which is also in playtest. We'll link to that one too. And
it's very fun.
It's extremely fun. But Danger Patrol actually happens at the start of the game. Everybody makes their characters, and Danger Patrol plays out basically a science fiction TV show, kind of like Flash Gordon or Buck Rogers. And everybody makes their characters, and then at the start of the game, the GM says, okay, tell me what happened in the last episode. Because the game presumes that you're starting, that the game you're about to play is actually like episode 12. So the team's been together for a long time. They've had a great many adventures already. And you look to the first player and say, give me a scene from the last episode. And it's actually called Last Time On in Danger Patrol. And Leslie will say, last time on Danger Patrol, my character, Susie Swanson, was hanging from a cliff face and shaking her fist at a flying monkey, saying, when I see you again. And that's it. And that's Leslie's way of saying that she really wants to see these flying monkeys again. And it's specifically used in Danger Patrol to tell the GM what you want this episode to be about. Because this episode is a continuation of last episode. But you had no idea what happened last episode.
Right.
So you do all these last time ons, and everybody gives you these little pieces of what happened last episode, and then you continue it in this episode.
That's really cool.
It's very, very fun.
Yes.
What Danger Patrol also does is in game you get danger dice that you get to throw around, and there's
That's
actually
a fine point, Leslie.
Yeah, there's actually player input that comes in during the game when any other player can throw danger dice at the player that is currently being focused on, and say, actually, I think that Ape soldier actually has dynamite strapped to his chest, so he's pretty damn dangerous.
That's actually perfect. Yeah, in Danger Patrol, you roll your skill die, but you also roll extra dice if what you're doing is dangerous. So you as the player say, okay, I'm going to punch this guy in the head. But since I'm hanging from the helicopter by one hand, it's obviously pretty dangerous. Since this guy is also a skilled ninja, it's even more dangerous. And since this is my weak arm, it's even more dangerous. So you've added 3 danger dice to your roll, but you can add more by looking at the rest of the players at the table and the GM. And you can go, come on, guys, make this more dangerous. And then one of the players chips in, just like Leslie said, and says, oh, that guy that you're going to punch in the head is strapped with dynamite. I hope you don't punch him in the chest. And then you look at her and say, that's awesome, and take your danger die. That's actually very good. And what's cool about that is not only is it fun and you're helping out your friend by giving him more dice, but you're also adding things into the world, and now all of a sudden, the ninjas of the dark villain Kaiser or something, his ninja army, all come equipped with dynamite strapped to their chest. Yeah. We've learned that, and it never existed in the world until Leslie decided that that was what was going to happen.
And I actually like that option more because when you're talking last episode on Danger Patrol, you're going around the table and you're kind of putting people in the spotlight. They've got to come up with something as you go around.
Right.
That's true. Everybody does have a turn.
You might not have an idea at the time. Whereas as you're playing, if you're really digging the scene and you come up with something awesome, it's an option. You can always throw it out there. It just whenever it comes up to you and strikes you. And so I think that's actually a little bit more fun than feeling the pressure.
Yeah.
Especially being a new player.
I agree. So stuff like last time ons and next time ons are really easy to put in any game. But this Danger Dice concept is really, really cool, and it's actually my favorite part of Danger Patrol.
Mine too.
So, how would we take something like that and put it in, say, Dungeons and Dragons?
Oh, phew. It's been so long since I played Danger Patrol, I'm not sure exactly how it works anymore. I know... Isn't like every failure you get make your danger meter go up? Or something?
Yeah, it's more danger. But basically, here's what I'm saying. Like if we look at World of Darkness, it has a dice pool, so it's kind of easy to use.
Right.
And you can say, okay, we're fighting off the zombie horde, so I'm fighting all these zombies, and okay, it's my character's turn, so he's going to take a swing at the zombie with his machete. And then maybe one of the other players can say, that zombie, it's your dad. Your dad's become a zombie. And now you're hesitant a little bit and you shake. And by them inputting that, maybe you get an extra die to your machete roll, to your attack.
Right.
So it's helping your character. But now there's all the added complications of if you miss, then your dad is still a zombie and all this other business. So Danger Patrol has a really good mechanic where the more dice you roll can also be the more dice you fail at, where a lot of dice pool systems like the World of Darkness don't do that. But maybe giving them the bonus of rolling all these extra dice is paid off by the other players having the ability to make your situation more dangerous. So maybe I'm going to hit this zombie in the head with a machete, and I'm about to roll, and the player says, why don't you roll 2 extra dice, because that zombie is covered in gasoline, and he's walking really close to that torch. So, with the obvious intent that if you don't kill him with this machete, next turn he might actually be on fire. So now you have to fight a flaming zombie. That might be cool.
Yeah.
It could tie right in with cool dice. That you've done for a lot of the White Wolf systems.
That's true. Yeah, Exalted uses the system of stunting, where every player, when they go to take an action,
that's what stunt dice.
If they say, I use my basic attack and hit him with my sword, then they just roll their attack like normal. Right. But if they say, I spin around and hit him with my sword, laughing maniacally the entire time, by adding that much color to their action, they now get a bonus to their roll. And then if they go beyond that to say, I run off the wall, do 3 backflips, kick some dirt into his face, and then hit him with my sword, they're now bringing in all this environmental stuff from the scene. Typical like bar fight, kicking bar stools at people,
right,
and flipping tables and things like that is an easy example.
Yeah, just colorful stuff.
Cool stuff?
Colorful stuff.
Oh, colorful stuff, yeah. But by bringing in all this colorful setting stuff, then they get a bigger bonus to their roll. I really like the idea of things affecting your role based on input from other players. How do we do that in a game?
I don't know. That's a very interesting concept. I kind of like that. You could just do it like stunting.
Okay, let's think of our werewolf game right now.
Okay.
So we roll a bunch of dice based on our attribute and skill to do something. So we're gonna kill this the security guard who's in our way, and like I'm about to claw him in the face. So what can you guys, as fellow players, do? What can you bring in through narration to either give me more dice or maybe give the guy more dice that's trying to defend my attack?
Well, the security guard has actually got a holstered gun that obviously is made of silver with ivory hand grips.
Okay, so we're not even giving the security guard silver bullets, but his gun that was given to him as a gift,
Yeah.
obviously has silver. So if you use your werewolfy powers, he might actually get the courage to try and pistol whip you with it.
Yeah.
That's cool. And then, so as the GM, do we give more dice to the acting player, and then with the intent that if he actually fails, the situation might get more difficult next turn?
You might want to, because the dice already kind of work themselves, and if we throw something else into it, you might be just throwing a gear or a wrench into the gears.
Okay.
And it would grind to a halt. You might, maybe like every player gets a pool of danger points, maybe 2 or 3, and then they can spend those to add something more dangerous and cool to an enemy.
All right.
And it also might be a way to kind of backstab your buddy and just kind of make things harder for him, because, we all like doing that to a certain extent in the werewolf game.
Yeah.
It's just like, ha ha ha, you can't do it. But that could be kind of cool. Just give them another little special ability or something special that they've got that sets them apart from, security guard A. And just makes them a little more menacing. I don't know. That was just an idea I had just now.
Did you have something, Leslie?
What I was thinking is, in Werewolf, we've been throwing around cool points quite a bit, which are just blue poker chips. But anytime anybody adds something cool to the game through a comment or through maybe a voice that they're actually playing their character with, anything that's really fun, we throw a cool point to them, and then they get to cash that in pretty much for a die.
Yeah, for an extra
put towards
die.
anything.
Right.
And so I'm actually thinking if everybody just started out a game with a certain number of those, they could either cash them in and say, here's an extra die for this reason, or they could actually use that to say, you know what, this is pretty dangerous because that rat actually has rabies. Give me a die. So you have fewer.
Okay, so they could spend their cool points to make things more dangerous for or against someone?
Exactly.
That's actually a really interesting
kinda
idea.
Cool. I like that.
I kind of dig that. We might have to play with that next week.
Yeah.
You should.
And it's funny that you brought up your point earlier, Devin, of making things more difficult for yourself, because in a current game design idea I'm working on, you'll roll against a difficulty. The more difficult the GM makes that roll, the bigger your reward is. You get like experience points, kind of, for accomplishing it.
Okay.
It's a pirate game, so you actually get treasure. And if you take out a ship that's like difficulty 3, then it gives you 3 treasure. But if you take out a ship that's difficulty 5, you'll get 5 treasure.
Right.
Obviously. So one thing I'm going to do is that you as a player, if I say, here comes a group of thugs, a group of soldiers, that actually recognize you from a pirating mission that you did a year ago. So here's the group of soldiers, and they're attacking you while you're like drunken in the bar, and they are going to be difficulty 5. You as a player can actually go, you know what? I think there's more of them than I thought at first. It's actually difficulty 7. And you can choose to make that roll harder on yourself, hoping that you'll still win, and you'll get then 7 treasure instead of only 5.
Okay.
So I like the ability for a player to be able to make their own situation more dangerous, but then get a bigger reward if they end up succeeding.
That
Right.
would actually work well with the goals idea too, because you could figure that that character that you're playing really just needs like another couple $100 to get his wife that perfect diamond ring. And then
Okay.
you totally have a reason for your character to be saying, this is actually much more dangerous than I thought. And I think that's kind of a cool idea.
Or if your goal was to defeat the cultists of the Dark Lord, then when I say, okay, there's a security guard and, go hit him over the head with your nightstick, you as a player could actually go, you know what? Maybe it's not just a security guard. Maybe it's a high priest of the cult of the Dark Lord. Because you want to get closer to your goal, but at the same time, you're allowing the GM to make it more dangerous.
Yeah, there you go.
That would be kind of cool.
That is kind of cool. I like that.
Fascinating. And now we've just linked player input back to our GM Garden topic.
Oh my goodness, we're actually becoming podcasters.
I suppose. Yeah. Awesome. Anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Is that enough?
I think
That's all I
so.
got.
Awesome.
All right. Well, just a reminder, email us your topic ideas or any comments or questions to sharkbonecast@gmail.com. And that's it. I can't think of anything else I was going to say.
I thought you had some big announcement you were about to
I
out or
thought I
something.
had something in my head that I was going to say, but as I was trying to grab the idea, it was just like a greased pig. It kept slipping away, and finally I was just like, you know what? I don't want to keep chasing you, so I'll let you go.
Yeah, I thought
Fair
you were
enough.
just totally gonna hang up on the listeners.
Oh, just click them off.
We're done with you.
I will say that our guest Leslie has a blog that may be of interest to some of you, and we'll link to that in our show notes.
Yes, we will.
You should.
All
Check it
right.
out.
All right. Well, see you guys next time.
See you next time.